Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we are going to do a character guide on Kurasame. So, Kurasame coming back here, actually looking pretty darn good. The way I kind of compare or think of Kurasame here, for me it's kind of similar to like Ferris in that Kurasame's always been relegated as a call character, as Ferris was, but then when they come back here, they're actually really solid in the party. So, for those of you unfamiliar with Kurasame, he's pretty much an Ice, Enchant, and Peril type character, has some interesting follow-ups, and has a really important nasty debuff, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at Kurasame's calls, and then we're going to look at the artifacts and spheres, and then do a showcase, right? So Kurasame's calls are quite significant. I would argue Kurasame's probably maybe the best call in the game. Definitely is contested. I would say Luna Freya now might be actually the best call in the game. That one's pretty busted. But Kurasame, I would say, is my most used call in the game. It's pretty much my go-to. What makes it so good, so we'll go through them each, but really what makes it good is the nasty debuff he throws down, right? So his 15 is going to be a single target attack, but does Ice Enchant the caller, which Ice Enchant can be very impactful. Does an attack and Max Brave up for the caller, and then puts the really important debuff on the enemy, which we'll talk about. The LD does Party Ice Enchant, which is really important, especially in these elemental lockouts. He's a call that you could bring to, say, the current Shinryu fight if you wanted to, if you don't want to bring an actual ice character in the party, right? And then Attack and Overflow Stolen up for the party, Elemental Weakness Damage up for the party. Now the big thing is when he comes in, just when he appears on his call, he puts his debuff on. And so the debuff is called Hyoro. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it that right, but Hyoro is a really important debuff, and essentially what it does is it enables the party to do more HP damage, and that's really what he's geared around. So the reason why this call has been so impactful is mainly for that debuff, that just your party does more HP damage. I'll talk more about how that debuff works as we go through the actual kit, but very, very good just to have that debuff to enable your party to do HP damage is really what it's all about, right? So let's look at Kurasame himself here. And for the artifacts, you really want to go Attack 108, whoop, not this one, sorry. Attack 108 and Silent Commander up. So you want to think of Kurasame as probably more of an offensive character. So you just want to go with your typical Attack Max Brave type of stats here. So Attack 108 and then Silent Commander is going to do Max Brave and Attack. I would say if you do Attack 108, Max Brave 330, something like that's going to be fine as well. But really prioritizing Attack here on Kurasame to do more damage, right? And then for the spheres, so my E slot is not optimal, but my A and my D slot are. As a primary, damage dealer / debuffer type character, we are going to prioritize attack and brave damage. So he does do weakness damage because he Ice Enchants and Peril, so he's always going to be doing weakness damage. So I really like Rydia there for the brave damage and attack up. Jack is another brave damage attack up that you could do if you wanted to, or you could just go all in on brave damage or attack with a really good attack or brave damage sphere. Any of those I think would be fine. On the D slot, I really like Luna Freya here. The D slot, you do want to go with one of those typical attack buffing D spheres that I always talk about, but Luna Freya's triggers on weakness damage, so this is a very good one you can put on Kurasame. And a lot of people, I think, that were watching my videos around Luna Freya, I told people to grind up a bunch of her spheres. So I think some of you hopefully have a bunch of these laying around, as I do. So I figured Luna Freya would be a really good spot to put Kurasame there. And then the E slot, I actually I'm not a huge fan of Kurasame's own sphere on himself. This is one that when I initially built Kurasame, I just threw it on there because I assumed it would be good. It's a speed down 20% when you target weakness damage, which is fine. Like, speed downs are good, but Kurasame is already doing speed down in his kit, so it's not like super necessary to have that. It would be like an additional speed down debuff, so you kind of are double dipping on the speed down, because his other speed down isn't a straight up speed down. It actually comes from that Hyoro debuff that I was talking about. So you would be getting double speed down. So I guess that's okay, right, if you want the double speed down. But realistically, what you want to put there is something that's going to buff attack, right? So I would actually shout out Oron here as probably being one of the better E slots. It's a really fat 15% physical damage up if you got the full sphere. If you want Kurasame, if you're going to use Kurasame in the main party a lot, Oron would be a really good pick there. Otherwise, you do something like Seymour, Emperor, or Yuffie. Those are your standard E-spheres for boosting attack, right? Alright, so with that, let's go ahead and hop into a little showcase here. So yeah, basically what happened was with Ferris, you know, I did Ferris's showcase, and I was pretty impressed with the numbers I was seeing out of her, so I went all in on Ferris. Now, Kurasame, I think, is equally kind of impressive. He's going to be putting up good numbers here. He's actually a very good in-slot. He's going to be like a slot 3 type party member, right? He's not really a main DPS, he's not really a main support, but he does a lot of good utility type things, right? Now, with Kurasame, there isn't really like a set order that you need to do everything. He starts with everything kind of in tow, right? So the first thing we got to look at is the Hyoro debuff here, which is the very important one, okay? And this is a stacking debuff, so you can see it's at 2 stacks right now. This thing maxes out at 5 stacks, and basically the more stacks it has, the more HP damage that your party will do. So if you get this thing up to 5 stacks, the party is going to be doing an extra 30% HP damage up. That is quite powerful. That's one of the more powerful HP damage ups in the game. And he's been out for a while doing that, right? Which is very good. Now, the way you increase the stacks on this is actually when the enemy takes turns, the stacks will go up. Or you can, basically by reapplying the debuff with his other attacks, you can also increase the stacks. The thing you have to keep in mind is if it is at 5 stacks, which is the max, if the enemy takes a turn, it's going to go back down to 1 stack. So ideally what you want to try to do is set it up so that the enemies have 5 stacks in a situation where you can maybe take a lot of turns and take advantage of that. Otherwise, you can just let the fight go kind of naturally and just know that sometimes you're only getting 10% HP damage up, sometimes it might be 20, 25, maybe 30. It's all going to depend on the stacks, right? But they start with that, so they're at 2 stacks there, right? So let's go ahead. Basically, his 15 and 35 are super basic. All you really need to keep in mind is the 15 is more single target, and the 35 is more AoE. So let's start with the single target one. So this is Ice Blade Renzen. Let's see what kind of damage. So you see we got the weakness damage right away. And then he's got Ice Pillar follow-ups, right? So 500k with the follow-up, not the craziest. It's not the most damaging thing. But what you do get out of that is a buff that you want to upkeep called Quiet Instructor. It does self-enchant him to Ice, and it does do a party attack up and max Brave up. So really the 35 is mainly a filler attack, or you're using it to upkeep the buff. And then that did put the Hyroro on. So it refreshed Hyroro and it added a stack. So now it's at 3 stacks, okay? So now let's go ahead with Luna Freya. We're going to go ahead and Quick Prayer Kurasame. Get Kurasame some turns here. Very good. And we'll just go ahead and attack through with this. And then we'll just let these attacks go through. Alright, and then Rem is just going to go ahead and swap into Kurasame to get some more damage in here. Alright, so next what we'll do is we will show off the 35. So this is going to be Multi-Blizzaga. So let's go ahead and do that. So Multi-Blizzaga, this is your AoE. This is the more often the attack you're going to want to press when you're kind of filling in attacks in between. So you can see there, yeah, 600k with like 300k splash. That's a little bit better, right, for damage-wise. And all that does is it basically adds 2 stacks to his debuff. And so now you can see this enemy here was at 3 stacks. Now he's at 5. So right now, while that debuff is at 5 and it's like gold looking, we are doing 30% more HP damage as a party, right? Just any HP damage coming to that enemy is 30% more. So until that enemy takes a turn, they're going to sit at 5 stacks, okay? So now let's go with Kurasame and let's show, well, yeah, we can show off the LD, I suppose, and the AA. The AA is pretty good too, but let's do the LD first. So this is Absolute Zero. This is going to give him a free ability use on his next turn. And let's see what kind of damage we got here. Okay, 800k, 600k, pretty good, right? By the way, those Ice Pillar follow-ups, those come from the EX, so I'll talk about that when we get the EX up. Now, after you use the LD, he's going to get a free skill use. More often than not, I would use the free skill use on the AA. If not, use it on the 35, because that's the AoE attack that you're going to want to use more often anyways. So you can see, for a free skill turn, like AA attack, like 400k isn't bad, because he's got the follow-ups with it. So that's actually pretty solid, right? And that is an ice damage attack. Does give brave damage limit up, and then attack up. So that's a pretty decent little buff that you're getting with that, right? So now what we're going to do is we've basically already shown his whole kit other than the EX, right? So super basic. So sure, let's go ahead and just pop the 35 again. And then once again, as you're doing these attacks, you see both enemies now just chilling at 5 stacks. And we can keep that buff refreshed. So as long as we keep the buff refreshed, the enemies aren't getting turns, like, it's just going to stay at 5 stacks, right? We'll go ahead and just, like, I guess we can swap turns, sure. Because I think Kurasame's ready now. Okay, and now Kurasame's going to do the EX, which is called Ice Reaper. Let's go and pop that. Let's see what kind of damage we get from Ice Reaper here. Alright, so yeah, almost a mil damage, like 875k with like almost 600k splash. Very potent damage, right? And that EX is probably going to be one of his more damaging moves that you can use, right? So let's go ahead. We'll just like kind of take a couple turns here and let the enemies go just so we can see how that debuff interacts. But you can see part of the reason why we're doing, you know, decent damage is because of that debuff, which is really important, right? What I would say is this, based on kind of what I'm seeing here, Kurasame, I would say I'm not as impressed as I was with Ferris, just because Ferris has the, like, the whole follow-up mechanic with Ferris works so well on those off-turn teams. That's part of what I really liked. But I would say Kurasame's damage is definitely, like, up to par now to make him worth running in the team if you like him. But I would say Kurasame is still just a fantastic call you can toss out, because you can still just have the benefit of that really great debuff, but then also, like, bring, like, another powerhouse character or support character on the team that can do a lot of damage with that, right? But we'll let the enemies go here, and then we'll just see how that debuff interacts so you guys can see it. What should happen is right now it's a 6-turn debuff, and it's at 5 stacks. When the enemies act, it should go down to 5 turns, but then the stack is going to reset back at 1, and then we got to work on building that back up. So once again, the only way to build the stacks, is either to have enemies take turns, or for us to act. Wow, they're just going to take us out here. Sure, that's fine, I suppose. And we got charmed, huh? We just going to die out of here. All right. Anyways, I just just wanted to show you that that debuff kind of went off there, right? So, anyways, guys, there you go. You saw the debuff stayed on. It did lose the stacks because the enemies acted. So, anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Kurasame. Still one of the best calls in the game. Now a competent party member if you want to use them. So let me know what y'all think. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.